Hello, we are live. Hi, Nicole.
Hey, Heather. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. We had a busy day. We went on a
Nice.
bike ride. It was fun. We ate a sandwich, a really big sandwich at a
Nice.
picnic. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you go on a large bike ride, I could see, yeah, you need some fuel.
Yeah. So when I'm a
Uh
guest on your stream, I never see how many people or if there's anyone actually in our.
so
Do you see
there's
it?
there's 5 people I'm
Oh,
seeing.
amazing.
So
Okay,
we
that's
have Monica, we
good.
have PH actress, we have Marie, we have yeah, and then we have some other people maybe who
Amazing.
haven't commented yet. So yeah. Well, thanks for
Amazing.
coming,
That's
everybody.
it. Oh, Gary. Hi, Gary.
Oh, hey, oh, nice.
Woo.
Awesome.
Yay. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for part two. We
I'm
got
excited too.
minutes. I was thinking about trying to summarize what we learned, but I don't remember. Do you remember what we learned in part one?
Yeah, so they threw out the word UGC, which stands for user generated content, as like basically this excuse that you don't need a large audience to be able to
Mm,
have an impact. But what we learned about UGC is that like companies will contract with content creators for user generated content. So like I might record a video of myself like, trying on the pants or something, and
mm-hmm.
but I'm being compensated for that. Whereas if you're doing UGC for your multi-level marketing company, the multi-level marketing company isn't paying you for that. So it's kind of like a false equivalency. And Lisa just joined us too. Woohoo. So yeah, that's I remember what we learned. And then they're using what I love about these people is they also use the word leads very uh crazily
Proudly.
to me. Yeah, because like to me, a lead is somebody who's like expressed interest in my offer and like maybe fits my target audience. For them, a lead is like someone with a pulse who
We,
exists.
we know for in MLMs with the coaches and with distributors, it's always just someone on the internet. Oh,
Yeah.
they look cool. I like their dog. They're a lead. And we
Mhm.
know that's not the case. And we should have said who these coaches were. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Bob
sure. So
Heilig and
hold on.
John Melton.
Yeah, I'll put them on the screen because I always forget like what these people's names. So there's John Melton, and him and his wife Nadia Melton are like what multi-level marketing coaches.
And they're also
Uh
in Modere.
okay, I was like I knew they were in one of them. And then this guy is like Bob Heilig,
Yes.
who is a MLM coach of some kind.
He
And
is
his
not currently building, like they like to say. He's not
yes.
building in an MLM at the moment. And his company is called Your Virtual Upline, his coaching company. So they're both MLM gurus.
Yeah. He's not building, he has built. And somehow, even though you're making a ton of money, rather than continuing to make a ton of money, you're going to quit the MLM and start coaching because that makes a
Oh,
lot
for
of sense. And yeah, and we got about halfway through last time. So I just paused John Melton. Yeah, this is an unfortunate pause, but he was talking and he said, like, basically, he just said something was duplicatable. So
yeah.
basically, like, and that's this approach is always big, right? Like, people will come up with some formula and be like, you can just use this formula and you're going to have the same level of success that other people have. And actually,
And
before we start, we have a great comment. A lead is someone that exists. Yeah,
yeah,
pretty much. That's kind of like what we're going for.
totally. Oh, coconuts. Hey, coconuts. Nice to see you.
Yay. Yeah, so we got
Yeah.
12 people in right now. I know.
Ooh,
Look
look
at
at
us.
that. Thank you for updating me. I wish I could see the number. I
No,
don't.
I wish you could too. I gotta find
Yeah.
there's no good like streaming software that like really gives two people like the full admin experience.
Yeah.
I hope someday somebody develops it,
It
but
wouldn't be
alas.
too hard to just have a little number right beside the timer so I could see it.
Yeah. Well, maybe StreamYard. There you go.
Do it.
Listen to this. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, so I have no idea what Bob's going to say next, but basically John just said that like this system is duplicatable.
Hmm.
So
All right.
anyway,
I'm
all
ready.
right, all right, me too. So just like flag me down if you wanted to stop.
I
I
will.
mean, if you want to stop to say something, I mean, I know we wanted to stop, but it's sort of fun.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people are like, oh, my business is down. This is down. It might be down. Yeah, the economy. Yeah, all these things. But guess what? People are still buying. People are still spending money. And I know this because I was just at the airport yesterday and it was freaking packed. It's packed every time I'm there. People are still spending money. Our organization last month, put in 5,000 new customers. Now, maybe a year ago it'd been 10,000 in the same month, but it's still 5,000 people that said, I want those products. So are people still buying? Yes. Are people still spending money? Yes. Are people still on social media? Yes. How are you going to stand out? That's what this workshop's.
Oh my God, I wanted to pause it too. Yes, go ahead.
And I just see Danny is here. Hi, Danny. So we've heard this before about how, people are spending money because you go to an airport and people are buying food. Well, sir, people need to eat, because that doesn't mean that every single person you prospect on the internet or in real life can afford to buy your really overpriced MLM products just because people buy food at an airport. That doesn't make any sense. And if the economy is down, if things cost more money, people still need to buy things. It doesn't mean they're just going to stop buying, but it means they're going to be more careful about what they buy. They're going to take care of their budget more. So it's not, I don't know what my point is. Sorry, I'm just annoyed already.
Right. And I think the thing is with these people, it's like, because it's true for them, it's because like, well, every time I go to the airport, it's busy. And it's like, okay.
That's great.
You know, like, yeah. But at the same time, it's like, we all just, these people just assume that their reality is everyone's reality. Well, like I continue to spend money. So why wouldn't other people continue to spend money? Yeah. We're seeing that. Yeah. Not happy with spending $25 on a sandwich and a drink at the airport. Oh my God. Yeah. Always the dumbest arguments why MLMs are a good idea. And he said, yeah. So and then he said 5,000 people have joined my organization this month. So I think he means Modere. He doesn't mean his team, does he?
Because he's still actively building his team in Modere. So I feel like when they say organization, that just means his downline. It doesn't necessarily mean he personally recruited that many people.
Well, I was wondering if he was attributing like, throughout Modere, the Modere company has gotten 5,000 customers. I wasn't sure if he was like sort of piggybacking on Modere's success by saying like, well, the organization. I wasn't sure if he was being intentionally vague. Yeah. And Marie, he is overlit. I just love that John always looks like he's in a geodesic dome. It's like my favorite thing. Oh, and Mr. Major Labs here.
Hello. Nice to see you. I was going to say something else. What was it? I was saying that if the economy is down, if we're in a recession, people are going to be more careful with their money, but they're also could be more desperate because they're worried about how they're going to feed their kids. And they're worried about keeping a roof over their heads. So I kind of take back what I said, because it's going to make it easier for men like Bob and John to prey on people's vulnerabilities and for them to sell these vulnerable people the dream, because that's all MLM is. You're selling the dream.
And I get it. We all want to make a full-time income. We want to be at home. We want to work 3 hours a day. But like, think about how many people in your real life who are doing this. And if you can't name anybody, because I can't name anybody unless they're like independently wealthy or something. I'm just saying that like, I know that it sounds like too good to be true. And you might say, well, I can work harder than the million other people that are in this MLM. But I don't know, like the odds aren't on your side. Like if you really want to make extra money, why not say, you know what, I like babysitting, or I like dogs, or I like graphic design, and just start your own service-based small business if you really want to make money on the side. Because yes, people will still need their kids watched. People will still need their lawns mowed. People will still need that stuff and maybe be willing to pay for it, but they're not going to be willing to pay triple the price for like some overpriced supplements. You know what I mean?
That you don't actually need, because if you need supplements, if your doctor said you need it, go to Walmart and get 90-day supply of iron pills for like $13 or something.
Or you'd get, like, if you really need, you'd also get a prescription for medication that might help with your iron absorption or something. But
exactly.
Yeah. And MLM prices, products, Monica, are overpriced. And the desperation is the key to the MLM growth. The more desperate you are, the more critical thinking diminishes. So
that's a great point.
Yeah, we understand why people get in this position. It's just one of those things where I think both Heather and I, the reason we create our content is because we don't want you to waste your time and money and effort, which is as important. Like if you're going to spend your time or money or effort on something, we want you to actually make money, not make these people more money.
Exactly.
All right.
That was a good conversation. I'm ready.
It was lovely.
Workshop's going to cover. So, Bob, could you maybe talk a little bit about your philosophy, what the workshop's going to talk about in that regard? Because I do think this is powerful, and it's something that all of us have to embrace. You cannot sit back twiddling your thumbs waiting for people to ask you about your products and opportunity.
We're going to dive deep into like just what's happening in the world today. And so I'm going to share lots of statistics, economic statistics. We're going to look at industry statistics, consumer behavior. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share 10 predictions for the profession over the next 2 to 3 years based off of all this data. And I'm going to teach you specific things that I think you must start doing right now today to position your business to win over the next 2 to 3 years. Here's one of the biggest arguments that I'm going to make is unless you had a business before 2008, right now today is the single greatest opportunity you have had in your lifetime to position your business for long-term success. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you are going to have access to a level of person that, because of what's happening in the economy today, all the uncertainty, is going to be open to something non-traditional like what we do that we haven't seen since the last recession that we were in 2008 and 2009. See, I'm gonna tell you what happened in COVID. We had.
Yep. I paused it at the same time we wanted to. Go for it.
Hey, Neil, nice to see you. So how would you feel if the success of your business was predicated off of suffering and uncertainty and people being scared about where their career is going? As a business owner, would that feel good? Probably not, right?
No, and honestly, we've had a couple of kind of mini, I would say, recessions. Like since then, I started my business in January of 2008. So like kind of I kind of started my business in the middle of a financial crisis, and I've seen a few bumps in the road. But I mean, the thing is, like, if you look at people who are not making enough money and are desperate as an opportunity, I think that makes you a really gross person, no matter what kind of business you run. But what he said, like, I have 16 truths and I'm going to talk about them and I'm going to give you a way to deal with them. Okay, why not give away one of them in this training? Why not say what one of them is and then how you would counteract it? You know, the lack of, I know these people, they do a lot of live streams, they post a lot of content, but if you actually watch it, there's like no information in it. And what I don't understand is if you have 16 points, why making one of them and sort of talking about how to deal with it would take away from the other 15 you were going to present in your paid workshop. That's what I don't understand. Yeah, it is always, as Neil said, the best time to join an MLM. So yes. Like, yeah. It's like planting a tree, you know. The best time to plant a tree was 25 years ago, but the second best time is today.
And how can Bob, sit there and say that with a straight face? With the economy, with uncertainty, this is the single best time to be in an MLM. Well, why? Because you lie, you deceive people into thinking that they're in a get-rich-quick business opportunity where they can work 3 hours a day, like you said, and make a full-time income, an actual full-time income. You say, you don't got to leave your house. You're a brand new parent. You don't need to leave your kid if you don't want to. Just stay at home. And you'll make $100,000 a year. It's like, no, you're lying.
I mean, like I said, I wish I was true. And if it is true, I'm the dumbest person on earth because I have been in the internet space for 20 years. And if any of this stuff would have worked, I would have done it. And I wouldn't be here today. Exactly. But I've seen so many like fly by night, get rich quick, you know, I mean, the master resale rights was a flash in the pan. Like, you know, people selling, you know, high ticket courses was a flash in the pan. There's just always going to be some new thing that's going to supposedly make you a ton of money for very little effort. And also what they always say is without you having to learn anything. It's something anyone can do. And it's like, okay, so if I don't need any money, I don't need any time, and I don't need any expertise, like why isn't everyone doing this and why isn't everybody successful at it?
Not even expertise. I don't need any marketable skills.
Yeah.
It's not even expertise. It's like You don't need to be a good public speaker. You don't need to be good on social media. You don't need to be outgoing, because that's not really a skill. That's a personality trait. But
Yeah, exactly.
you don't
Yeah.
need basic skills or certain personality traits, and you can be successful. It's like, but what if I can't talk in public? Because not everybody can. What if I can't get on a live and actually sell a product? That's a skill, sir.
Yeah, and Monica says like a lot of them are jumping to this master resell rights thing. You know, if the MLM was so wonderful, why would they have to do that? And you know what? I think I'm predicting a lot of them are going to have some stupid AI product to sell us in the next 6-ish months. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be some AI product that like does all your marketing for you.
Yeah.
I keep sitting in meetings with people and they keep saying like, are you afraid AI is going to take your job? And I'm like, what? I mean, the AI needs input. Like, who do you think does the input? You know what I mean? Like, and also like, yeah, it's going to automatically generate videos. I'm sorry. Like, it's going to look like stock stuff. It's going to sound like, it's not going to, you're a small business. You're a singular person's small business. Like, if you think a robot can make your videos as good as you can, like, I don't know, but yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just predict that all of them, the next thing they're gonna all be selling is some AI product. I don't know what it is, but that's my
Let's
prediction.
see if that prediction comes true.
Yeah, we'll see.
We had these COVID business babies that joined just because they were bored and they had money and they had nothing to do. But the second it
that so Heather, were you bored during COVID? Were you a baby during COVID who was bored and had nothing to do? Or were all of us just like re-engineering our entire lives to like work from home or to like caretake for children or family members, like while being in the house, or like setting up our technical setup so that we could do meetings and things like that virtually? Like, I love how he thinks we're all, these people were sitting twiddling their thumbs, but doesn't mean the rest of us were. God, the entitlement of that. I had to pause and just be like, oh, the entitlement of that statement. The privilege in that statement, just
it actually started getting hard, and it required real work and commitment. They didn't have it, and they left and they quit. And so that's the reason what we saw is we saw this big boom, and then we saw it fall off a cliff. See, what you have access to today are leaders. And so here's what I know is the foundation of long-term success: good people, committed people. And so here's what's interesting. I'll share just a couple of stats that I think, because for me to just tell you, you should be more proactive, you should be sharing your business, because a lot of you are not even sharing your business anymore, which to me is the greatest tragedy, because people have left and you've lost confidence and you said, I must have did something wrong. And you're like, I don't know what to say today to get people. You're not even talking about your business. And so like, here's the truth of the matter. If you ever have had a reason to, it's now. And so here's what's interesting about this recession. There is a term being tossed around. They're calling this a rich recession. So here's what they mean by that. In a typical recession, the bottom 20% of the households are the ones that are hit the hardest, the lowest income households. Over the last 3 years, what the data shows is that the lowest 20% of households, their net worth has increased by 43%. Now, that's because of all the government stimulus.
Source.
I'm trying. I'm looking because I
thank you for checking. Oh yeah.
Sorry, I keep talking over you.
That sounds like a big no. That just sounds like a big number. Like think about the bottom 20% of households that you might know. Do they seem 43% better off than they were 5 years ago?
Probably
they don't.
Not.
I mean,
inflation is outrageous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because if you aren't getting,
yeah. So
sorry,
yeah.
I feel like you're a little choppy.
Oh, I don't know why.
I good still?
Yeah, you are, and I don't know why I'm choppy. I'm plugged in. But anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, there's it's St. Patrick's Day, and I live next door, or I am next door to a bar, so I don't know. I don't think they're sucking on my internet, but we'll see. But yeah, if they were just bored, exactly what a devastating thing to say about this time in world history. You know, COVID destroyed a lot of lives. He should not be taking it as lightly. Absolutely. MLM had a big upswing during COVID because people were desperate. Exactly.
And people weren't just sitting around at home.
Yeah.
Mental health struggles jumped. Yeah. Anxiety was at an all-time high. People were reaching out for mental health supports more than they ever have. and people were struggling.
I know. And he talks about, I don't know how much like you like stimulus or whatever. Like I did get a PPP loan that was 1 month of payroll, and I got a rent break in my commercial rent at one of my businesses for 1 month. And I got a $1,500 check from the government as me personally. That's what I got. So I got the equivalent of, and then like, but the pandemic was longer than 1 month. And it didn't even cover all my bills for that month, any of it. So like I said, it covered the payroll for 1 month for my folks, but yeah, I still, anyway. So I don't know what stimulus he's talking about. I'm not saying that a free $10,000 didn't help me retain an employee or whatever. I'm saying I had to carry it the rest. I got help for 1 month of COVID versus the multiple years that it went on. So, so I don't know what he's talking about.
And they don't have an actual like small business. You had to run it all yourself. You were responsible for making sure people could still feed their families. They don't care about the people underneath them. They don't care as long as they're as long as they maintain a certain rank. Bob could care less.
Exactly. And then we got some folks in the comments. There's not enough help in the U.S. household to put them in higher income. That's kind of like what I'm thinking. And even as a regular business owner, like I said, I wasn't handed hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything. I was even handed tens of thousands. I don't even think I got $10,000 in the PPP loan, actually. And then I was working through COVID, but I had furloughed friends. Exactly. They weren't just bored. They were scared for their future. Yeah. And then even if we did get a bit of a rise in income, it's been offset by a lot of increasing costs in like housing and groceries. I think are overall up like 10% in terms of costs. Like
that's why I left my last job before this one, because I asked for a raise. They said no. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to keep getting more poor the longer I stay here. So bye. And so I left a job that was slightly for a job that was higher paying. Yeah. But if you're not continually expanding your income, you're making less money. You are not getting as far with the income we used to have. And so they're just using that as I already said this, just to sell the dream. Just to sell the dream. It's horrible.
Exactly. Like Gary said, sitting at home, most people I know were working their jobs, pounding their kids through classes on the internet. People did not have a lot of time. And then we have some confirmation that housing costs are really high. Apartments, $2,500 a month, where
in Toronto, Ontario, you'd be lucky to find $2,500 a month in Toronto. Some parts of Canada are outrageous.
People in the service industry lost their jobs and joined MLM because they told that anyone could be successful. And I only had free time because I'm disabled and my child is grown, and I already had the free time pre-COVID. So that makes so these people. So seeing COVID or seeing a recession as an opportunity is just really gross.
It's gross. Gross. I'm ready.
Unemployment, stuff like that. Now here's what's interesting. We just passed for the first time in history over $1 trillion in credit card debt. And there was just an article in Fortune magazine last week that credit card defaults are at its highest rate since the Great Depression, because interest rates are rising, credit card balances are higher than they've ever been. So more and more people are unable to meet the minimum payments. And so they're defaulting. They've been living their life on credit. It costs the average American household $700 more a month to live the same life today that they did 3 years ago. And so we are, there is going to be like, the hasn't hit the fan yet for us as an economy in the US. But here's what's interesting. The group of people that have been hit the hardest are the top 20% of households.
Oh.
Their net worth has decreased by 10% in the last year. And there was an article written in LinkedIn, the majority of the jobs being eliminated are 6-figure plus salaries.
Let me play my little tiny violin on my little tiny finger for the top 10% of people.
Oh, Danny, I'm not from GTA. I just know that Toronto has outrageous housing prices.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably the most expensive in the country for sure. But how gross is it? He's talking about how credit card debt is incredibly high, and someone said, yeah, don't MLM people encourage taking out credit card debt to get started? So you have credit card debt. He's talking about how credit card debt is going to benefit his business because people are worried. They're in debt. They're worried about how they're going to get out of it. And that's going to benefit you because you're going to say, oh, that's okay. Just put a little bit more on your credit card. Come join me. And then you'll be able to be rich. You can get rid of your debt. And then they'll have stories of other people who got through $50,000 in debt or $100,000 in student debt to encourage me as someone in debt to join. Sorry, I'm so mad.
Yeah, it's
calm down.
No, it's infuriating. And it's like, oh, the top 20%, they lost like 10%, of their income. Okay, well, they had it to lose, first of all. And second of all, like, why did they lose it? Was it because they had because when we talk about credit card debt, when these people talk about normal people, living on debt or whatever, we don't talk about like the reason for the credit card debt. Like most people in the US, and I'm not sure if it's true in Canada, Heather, but I think a majority of people in the US, when they go bankrupt, is for medical debt. Like 60 something % of people who go bankrupt in the US, it's over medical debt. It's not like these people are not buying Louis Vuitton and like whatever. They are like buying groceries and like trying to stay in their houses for the most part. I'm not saying there isn't like a singular person who, the pause screen is, I know. The thing, John is very expressive, so any pause screen we have for him is gonna just look like that. But
Nicole, I don't think let me try that again. The healthcare system's a little different. I'm gonna say maybe it's not like the highest reason, the most significant reason for debt in Canada, but it's probably up there because like a surgery is free, but everything else that comes after the surgery is not free. Like you can go see a specialist, but the medication that the specialist gives you, you have to pay for if you don't have coverage. I quickly looked it up. I see credit cards, divorce, medical issues.
Yeah.
So those are some.
Yeah, these people aren't buying Ferraris and in luxury cruises for the most part who are in debt. They're in debt because they had at least one unfortunate incident and they're dealing with it.
Exactly.
And we don't have much of a social safety net here. So they'll talk about, people in credit card debt, but they'll never talk about why, right? And they'll say, oh, the rich people lost money. Why did they lose money? I don't know. Did they decrease their workforce and have less people to exploit or something? I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I just don't feel sorry for Elon Musk losing 10% of his income or something. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly. I'm ready.
We will and pause these folks here.
The tech sector has been decimated with job losses, but it's not just tech. Every company, you pick any company, any industry, they're cutting jobs by the tens of thousands. And so what does that mean for us? Well, what it means is it's the perfect storm of opportunity because you've got these people that are successful, influential leaders. They're established in their careers. They are afraid and they don't know what's happening. And guess what?
People are afraid. That's an opportunity. Oh my God. Yeah, I can just picture I'm just picturing a Mr. Burns, excellent, oh, gross.
And Demi said they're trying to avoid knee and foot surgery like the plague, so I don't get married under medical debt. That's a good point because that's probably an experience for a lot of people in the United States and I'm sure in Canada too. And it's not because we're just running around not being conscientious about our finances. It's because things happen to us and emergencies happen and we have to figure out a way to deal with it when there's not much of a social safety net, at least in the United States. So I'm really sorry that's happening to you. That's terrible.
Yeah, that is awful. Yeah, and exactly. How can you salivate at other people's misfortune? Exactly.
Terrible.
Yeah,
Terrible.
Look at their faces. They're like,
oh,
so gross.
You're gonna be so rich.
You're gonna be so rich from all the desperate people.
And say you are a highly paid tech person, you make $120,000. Say you have 5 kids, right? one of them, you're in the US, one of them has medical issues, right? And so say you do lose your job, and like that could cause stress. I know we're just kind of joking around about like all the poor rich people, but
Yeah.
I think like if you are dealt an unfortunate hand, that you could be impacted by that, right? And
it's true. I mean, he's in the top 20% of households, though. I guess, and I don't know what the top 20% of households make. I'm picturing like millions. I guess. I mean, I don't quite know how it breaks down. I know that I think the average person in the US, I've looked this up before for a couple of videos, makes about $45,000 a year. So like, I think it would be like 200,000 ish or more. I don't know. It would, it's not necessarily millions, but yeah, you're right. Even if you do quote unquote have a lot of money, if you live in a certain area, if it's a certain kind of medical condition, if you
have other things happening in your life, like if you're taking care of a sick parent, if you're a caregiver too, right? Or your spouse has a medical condition. I don't know. I don't know what my point was.
No, I get it. Like, even if you did have money like this, like you could be in a bad position. So just as an average person, it's even worse. Yeah.
Oh, totally. 100%. If you're making $50,000 a year and you have medical debt, that's going to be more scary than if you're making $200,000 and like, you need more of your money to go towards your debt. I'm going to take myself off camera just for a second, but I'm
okay. Sure. All right. I'm going to keep playing this.
Yep.
But if you learn how to talk to them the right way, and here's the problem. You know some of these people, but you want to know what happens? They go to your social media and they see what you're doing and saying, and you turn them away before you even get a chance to talk to them. So that's why content is an important first piece. But when you're in a conversation, John, one of our early mentors said this, I don't remember who it was, but I was taught this early, that language is one of the currencies of your business. If you learn how to elevate the language that you use when you're talking to someone about what you do, and you learn how to really paint the big picture vision for the opportunity that exists in this profession beyond where you are and your results, that's the way you build a big business, right? You sell people on the dream.
Yeah. Heather, we are in like right in sync because I was about ready to pause it.
There's nothing inherently wrong with, as a business owner, I'm just making this up, I don't know, being able to describe the impact of your services in an impactful manner, showcasing your strengths, showcasing what you can do for your potential clients. But there's a big difference. You are showcasing your impact in a way that you'll be able to help your clients be well informed so they can make a good decision as to whether or not they want to work with you. You're not trying to trick your clients into an unethical business opportunity. You're not trying to lie to them so they'll lose money and make you rich. Like, you're actually giving them something of value and you're actually being honest. But he's using language to lie to you. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too, like, I just want you to pay attention. So Bobby's he's setting us up right now. He's saying language is so important, and saying the exact right thing is going to help you sell more.
Yeah.
So what he's doing right now is he's like putting the volleyball up in the air for him to spike over the net, that he like has the scripts and he has the exact wording that's going to make you sell more things, right? That's the that's what he's setting up right now. But the thing is, and like Ray Higdon does stuff like this too. He's like, oh, I'll provide you some free scripts or whatever. But the thing is, unless you call someone a fucking idiot or something, there's not one word or a series of words you're going to say that's going to completely mess up your entire business.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I remember when I was dating, I finally like told myself, I'm like, listen, I would worry that I was going to like say the wrong thing or whatever. And I told myself, like, the right person, like, it's not going to matter. And that's the thing is, if you have a good product and people want to buy it, if you don't say it in the exact perfect way, it doesn't mean no one's going to buy it. These people like artificially inflate like that this sentence that you typed in chat is what made the person like not want to buy from you.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
They act like you have so much control over every interaction by picking the exact right words. And it's just, It's
Because
not
then
the
it's
case.
our fault. It's our fault if we're not finding success.
It's always gonna be our fault if we're not successful, and it's gonna be their fault if we are. It's gonna be their thing if we are successful because we got coached by them. So it is always, the success is always on them, and the fault is always on us as the underlings.
Yes.
Showcasing a real product or service is not the same as selling a dream. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, and I recorded a video this afternoon that I'm working on editing right now because I don't know how you feel. Like, I try to cover these different scammers, and I think I just got really discouraged because like my list just keeps getting longer. Like, I keep thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run out of people, and I cover one scammer and then 5 pop up, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I wanted to record
all Facebook.
Yeah, I just want to record a general video of like, here's how I discern if someone is a scammer or not, and and one of the things I said is that, like, I don't spend a lot of time telling other people they should start the exact same business as me. Like, if you're actually successful in your business, like, you're busy running your business. You're not trying to like get other people involved. And then the other thing is, it would be extremely unethical of me to like tell my clients, like, we're going to make you $200,000 this year, because there's so many things I have no control over in terms of their products. Like, I don't control their product pricing. I don't control their staff training. Sometimes I don't control their website. Sometimes you know what I mean? So like, there's so many other factors in making money other than the work that I do, that since I can't take complete ownership of the failure, I also can't take ownership of the success. So it's just, anyway, it just really bugs me. So I've always had a really hard time to understand, because for me in Sweden, it's covered, but I always get a bit of understanding when visiting the vet and realize that I have to make a tough decision for what I can afford when it comes to my pet's care. Yeah. So even people in other countries, Marie, that's like a really good framing. So like, yeah, like if you're in another country and your healthcare, think about like you brought your dog to the vet and you have to decide, you know, life-saving surgery or what. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And we have some frustrations with the US health insurance, which is totally 100% valid. And Demi, I'm so sorry you're going through that. It is infuriating that we live in supposedly the quote unquote greatest country on earth. It is, yeah. And we're letting citizens like live in suffering. But yeah, so Bob is setting us up that he knows the exact words to say. Is he going to tell us this in the broadcast? Of course he's not, because he wants us to buy into his coaching or his workshop or whatever he's going to sell us at the end. I'm just pointing out, he's setting us up for something here, I think. I haven't watched this, but just the way he's saying, like, well, your words really matter, is like, I have the right words. It's kind of what he's going for, I think. But all right, get this.
I'm ready.
Dream. And so, like, you have to learn how to fundamentally talk to people differently today if you're going to take advantage of this. Now, I know what comes up. Somebody says, well, Bob, I'm not successful. I don't make the big money. It doesn't matter, because you want to know what? Good quality prospects will never discount an opportunity because you haven't been successful. They don't base their decision on your results or lack of results. If you share something with them that they take the time to look at and they think it's a good opportunity, they could care less how much money you're making, right? They're just going to say, okay, why don't you get me in touch with somebody that is making money and I'll go start working. But guess what? They're in your downline.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got to get over ourselves, and we got to get over our lack of success. And we have to realize that there's an opportunity today that most people have never seen before in their business. But here's the thing. I say all that.
Yeah.
In an average employment environment, I think it's totally reasonable to expect your boss to be farther along in their career than you are. They're higher up in the hierarchy. They maybe have more education depending on what level in your job you're at, right? If it's like a vice president, maybe they have like a master's degree in something, right? And you should expect that your boss is more successful, is more farther up in their career. And if my boss isn't, then I'm going to question that. I'm going to say, okay, well, why aren't I the boss then? Okay,
right.
Well, if you can't show that it's work, why should I join? Yeah, like if your upline can't show that the opportunity can make them money, why would I join? Because obviously something's going on there if you can't make this system work. I feel like all my points make sense in my head and then I say it.
No, I totally Yeah, yeah, we would expect the person who's showing us how to be successful to actually be a little bit successful themselves. I don't think that's unfair. Also,
Yeah.
Bob keeps hitting the table that he's on. Oops, I'm like I'm moving everything. He keeps hitting his table, and it's really bothering me. I'm like, I thought this guy had a podcast. Like, doesn't he know don't hit a hard surface while your microphone's on? But yeah, it's just infuriating. He's
And
like,
then
yeah, you don't have to be successful. Well, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, when someone hires me to do their marketing, what is the first thing they ask me? They say, what accounts do you manage? They say, what results have you gotten? And it's perfectly valid for them to ask me that because I'm asking to do this for them for pay. So I should be able to show them, okay, here's examples of some of the content I've made. Here's some, and sometimes I will blur, like I'll show them reports, but I'll like blur the clients, like the other clients, like information. I'll be like, okay, here's a couple of reports that we've run for clients recently, like in terms of their engagement and stuff like that, so that they see like, oh, okay, like, oh, you're 7% engagement on Instagram, like for this client, 3 months in a row, like that must, that's pretty good for a small business, a small account. So yeah, like it's important for me to be able to show that I can do the thing that you're hiring me to do. I know, but Monica, like anything we pause on, they look ridiculous. And it's funny too, because I think Bob has some makeup on right here. Like his top of his face looks a lot lighter than the bottom of his face. So
maybe.
Yeah.
I was going to say one other thing.
Yeah.
No, if I just joined Beachbody and I haven't made any money yet, I'm going to share the story of my upline. I'm like, oh, well, Jessica is a 10-carat diamond and she's making $50,000 a month. So that means you can also make $50,000 a month. So you just use the success story of someone above you who happens to be making money as a way to pull that person in. But they don't tell you, oh, that person's been in for 7 years and they have a downline of 20,000 people and they don't actually work that much because they have a huge downline. They don't tell you why someone is making so much money.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Exactly. Yeah. And Demi has a really good point. It's like an artist needs to show a portfolio before taking a job creating art. Why is getting a coach so out of line?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're all expected to show our work.
Yes.
To some extent, Yeah, when you change jobs, Heather, I'm sure you were asked to like demonstrate your skills or you were asked for your resume. Like, yeah.
We had a writing assignment, like what I would have to do in my job, and I had an hour to do it, and it was really hard, but I did a good job at it because they needed to see how I could write. Yeah, and I didn't even think of that. I was just thinking like a boss employee relationship, but when you're going to a job interview, you have to showcase your skills or showcase how your personality will make you a good fit for the role. Like you have to show how you could fit into the culture. It might not be like generic success indicators, but you have to show why you're a good candidate.
Right. And Bob's whole thing is you don't need to be successful. You don't need to have shown any success. And it's like, well, you have to be kind of good at something or else why am I listening to you?
Exactly.
All right. So we'll unpause these poor.
All that to say this. These people are not going to come to you. They're not scrolling Facebook looking for side gigs and side hustles. They don't want to be an influencer. They don't give a you-know-what about that stuff. They haven't been building a following and creating content, but they are some of the strongest prospects that you will ever see in your business. I also have a bone to pick. Like there are so many people in our profession today. Their primary recruiting strategy is just targeting other network marketers, which I think is so short-sighted in what you do.
Stop tapping the table. Oh my God. Sorry. Ugh.
Opportunity to recruit and build a team is 10 times bigger with people that have never done anything like this than it is for you to just keep trying to recruit the same people that just keep going company to company because nothing they do works because they never actually learn how to do it the right way.
Is that why they move from company to company, Bob? Because they just never learned how to make it work.
And why would you want to recruit someone who's never been in MLM before and don't have a downline who are going to follow them from MLM to MLM? Wouldn't you want to target those people? because they have 100 people who would follow them anywhere, and so you have an automatic downline. And every MLM distributor everywhere will say that attraction marketing is amazing. Just post great things and people will reach out to you. Now saying like you can't just twiddle your thumbs and expect people to reach out, but then okay, why are you teaching me how to create amazing, brilliant content if I need to be in the DMs and have conversations? Because he'll say the content is a way to make community, but then the magic happens in the DMs.
Right. But you have to say the exact right words, Heather, or else it's like not going to work. Yeah. And like Paige, actually, if they aren't looking, then why are you bothering them?
Exactly. Leave them alone.
Yeah. Oh, am I sure it's not just 5 o'clock stubble on his face? It could be. It could be.
Yeah.
It's just the top of half of his face is like just very like lit differently. Yeah. Personally, I would care about how much money I made based on my skills, specifically that I was guaranteed to pay for a job.
Yes, William.
Is you recruit, you run out of people eventually, you have no one left to sell to. Yeah, all these are excellent points. And like, yeah, that's God, these people are infuriating.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna press play.
In reality, some of the most successful people are the most open-minded. That's how they became successful. But like you said, they're not on social media checking out side gigs. That's such a good point.
And they're not going to reach out to you. You have to go create that. You know, when I think about one of the companies that I built, one of our biggest organizations in our business was a local business owner. His name was Mark, and you remember Mark. He owned an entire chain of auto collision centers all over the state. I mean, like an ultra successful guy. He came to us through his tattoo artist.
Wow.
That the only reason why he even took the time to look at the business is because he was getting a tattoo from the guy the next week. And he didn't want to tick him off by not coming to his meeting. So that was the only reason why he came. He joined on the spot and crushed it. And listen, the person that introduced him never did much more than just introduce Mark, but he introduced Mark and wound up getting paid on tens of thousands of customers. And I have so.
You go first.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's interesting how. Oh my God, what was I going to say? I had something in my brain. You go first. And then I'll remember.
They said the quiet part out loud just now, which is that, so this auto guy, Mark, tattoo artist, let's call him Bob. So they're saying like Bob didn't do anything except introduce Mark to the opportunity. Okay, and then Bob got paid. So like the quiet part out loud is that Bob didn't work, you know, the tattoo artist didn't do anything, but he's making money. And also like the whole like, oh, this person is a captive audience and taking advantage of that. Like they're getting tattooed. So like they can't go anywhere. Like they have to listen to me. I used to like live on an island and I had to ride a ferry a couple of times a week to go into my office. And unlike a subway where you can just get off at the next stop if someone's annoying, like when you're on a ferry, I was stuck there for an hour and a half. And the amount of people who'd like sit next to me, and I want to write a whole book of the weird stuff people told me on the ferry because something about my face is telling me things. But I was a captive audience. So for an hour and 20 minutes, like I couldn't go anywhere else. I was stuck on this boat with this crazy person. So like, I don't know. I just feel like it's gross as a tattoo artist or as anybody, like if I was getting a massage or something, or there's just certain times. Exactly. There's certain times where like you're somewhere for some length of time and someone taking advantage of that time is gross.
Yeah. And it's gross how, he said the quiet part out loud that Bob didn't really do much work. And yet he's getting paid off of Mark's success. And they always say like you have to work hard to get to the top, but then once you're at the top you don't actually have to do much. And I'm thinking, well, that's an issue. Why is my success predicated off of those suffering underneath me? Because we know for people to be at the top of these companies there need to be people at the bottom who aren't making any money. There's no way around it. So all of those people that Mark recruited, they're all suffering. So Bob can make money and not do any work. And that's gross. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's a couple of levels of grossness of this story for sure. Ugh.
And I see Elaine. I don't know.
my
I don't
God.
know if Elaine has been here for a while, but hi,
Oh, yeah.
Elaine. Nice to see ya.
Yes, Elaine and Tori's here.
Hi,
She's
Tori.
lurking.
Yay.
She's like, I've just been hanging out. I'm not saying anything. You don't have to say anything in the live stream. The
Totally.
chat is for you all to talk and have fun, and when fun things, go on, we throw them in here. But you can say as much or as little as you want. This is a chill place with chill people.
Different stories like that. And so, but the point is that exists in your network. And so, John, I'll make one final argument for why being more proactive is important. I want to go back to something we talked about earlier. I remember, like, I'm going to just assume that most of your viewers, they're.
Yeah.
I remember what I was going to say, and I think, sorry, it was about the people who are open-minded are the most successful. So those who, like this story, they just join on the spot. They don't think, they don't ask questions. Those are the ones who are successful. And by him saying that, it means, yes, good job, Anastasia. By him saying that, it means you don't think critically. You don't take a second to speak to your spouse because I'm sorry, but decision that impacts my and my spouse's financial stability, it should be both of our decisions. Mm-hmm. Because we split everything 50-50 here. So if anything reduces my ability to split our expenses, should be a group decision. But no, they teach you just to jump in. And okay, for your experience as an actual business owner, how do you feel about that tactic, that high pressure tactic? Like, you must decide, you must give me a yes or no at this moment, or our relationship is done.
Well, like, I mean, most of the time, like, I feel like people are going to take time to consider their options. So I'll send them a proposal, and it has the line items in it. So like, oh, social media marketing services, 6 months, and this is what you get. We check the messages every day. We post this amount of content, blah, 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 for this price. Oh, like, you want us to just check you like posting content, but you don't like dealing with the messages and comments. We'll deal with the comments and messages for this other lower price because it's less work. So like, basically I talk to someone, I give them the parts that I think they might be interested in. And I expect that they're going to talk to their other people in the business. They might talk to friends and family. I expect that, like, there's going to be some conversation, and typically, we do have some back and forth. And the only thing that I am starting to do is I'm starting to make proposals expire, because one time I did a proposal for a website and I didn't hear from them for like 7 years. And then they came back and were like, okay, we're ready to move. And I was like, oh, and I quoted them this like way too low price, but since I quoted it to them, I had to honor it. So now I just make my proposals expire after 6 months. That way it just puts a natural, like, if they come back and something has changed, like the algorithm now makes it so we have to post 4 times a day or something, if something changes, like, okay, then I can change the price if I need to, but we try not to change our prices too often. I haven't raised my prices actually in over 5 years. So, because we try to really keep it something that is relatively affordable. I mean, in my mind, it's affordable for the amount of time it takes, but yeah. Just because you're open-minded does not mean being stupid. Yeah. And there's nothing, like I said, to me, every decision you should think about, like, it occurred to me that the thoughtless, selfish, and predatory nature of the top of the pyramid and the endless, all-consuming work at the lower levels is the main theme of my favorite movie. Wait, Demi, what movie? Metropolis. I've never seen that movie.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, being open to new ideas includes carefully thinking exactly what is the new idea. Yeah, there's this one woman I reacted to once. Her name is Kirsty Snyder. She's in this like money saving MLM. It's really weird. I'm like one of the only people who's been talking a lot about her, but in one of the trainings, she says, like, you need to like work on these meditations. And she says, one of the meditations was, I accept new ideas immediately. And I was like, no, that's alarming. No, you should not accept new ideas immediately. Like, that is nuts.
You can be open-minded to new ideas and then think through it critically and then come to a well-informed decision.
Yeah. Can you imagine if every new idea you got, you were like, someone told me the world might be flat. Oh yeah, maybe okay, I've accepted that. So we have some lovers of Metropolis in the chat, and Demi saying it's 3 hours, so buckle up if you're going to watch that movie.
That's funny.
Oh my God, that is funny. All right. New movie for the watch list. All right. Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
They're all in on content, right?
Yeah.
They're going live, they're doing stories, they're doing reels, they're on TikTok, like they're all in on content, which you should be, by the way. Okay. But I'm going to make the argument that if you're all in on content, but you're not really being proactive about reaching out every day, you are wasting your time. Yeah. Because what content does is it nurtures your audience and community. Every time you create a piece of content, it's making a relational deposit in the account of everybody that sees the content. Now, here's what's interesting about content. If you look at the analytics really closely, so there's different types of engagement on social. There's the visible ones, which are likes and comments, but then there's the ones that are not quite as visible. There's impressions and reach. So when you look at reach is how many people actually saw the post. Impressions is how many times the post was actually watched. So typically when you look at impressions and reach are usually bigger by a factor of 10. So meaning,
is that true? I'm going into my back office right now. Is impressions when they just see it? Mm-hmm. It's not. I'm looking. Yeah, and then there's a click-through rate, and that's the rate that people actually click on it. So
right.
Impressions is people seeing it. Click-through rate is the click.
Right, and they're talking about impressions versus reach. So, for example, like every device has an IP address, like your phone has one and your computer has one or whatever. And so, like if someone was watching this video and they were watching it, they watched part of it on their phone. And then they moved to their computer, and then they closed, and then they came back on their computer partway through the live stream. That would count as 3 impressions, but it would count as reach 2 because it was on 2 devices.
Oh.
So I think they're making the distinction that, and impressions will always be a higher number than reach because some people will watch it more than once. But what I love is that John Melton, social media expert, marketing amazing person, right? He just acted like he just learned what impressions and reach were. His face was like, oh wow. I'm like, that is,
what it is.
Well, like I said, I don't expect the average person watching this to necessarily understand the difference, but him like acting like this is very new information, like this is like social media 101 level stuff here. So it was just him acting like, oh, like what?
I feel like a lot of the stuff they say is reasonable because a relational deposit every time you make content, and I'm thinking in the realm of my little channel here, I guess you could say that because there's like connections, we're chatting, we're learning something new together. But my relational deposit doesn't have an ulterior motive. It's not that I'm trying to trick my YouTube community into doing something that's going to harm them. I'm just doing a fun activity couple nights a week, and that's it. But they're making relational deposits to trick their social media followings into an unethical business where they're going to lose money and they will be harmed.
Right.
So it's different.
And them even using, like, in the way you said this actually pointed out, the way they're using the word deposit. When you deposit something at the bank, the idea is you're going to take it back out eventually.
Oh, I wasn't thinking of it that way.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, so like when I make a deposit, like I am going to withdraw. Like that, that's the opposite of deposit is a withdrawal. So there's this implication of like you said, a transactional relationship. Whereas like, you know, me being like, oh yeah, I'm putting this out there. I don't know what I'm expecting, maybe something back someday, but I'm also just expecting to like have fun with you on this live stream. And maybe in making YouTube pay us, not making the people watching this, you know, but you know, at some point YouTube hopefully will pay us, you know, but yeah. So like, it's just this, like William, we also have to bank, we have to verify you under regulations, etc. Yeah. Like rewatch the stream at uni later. Does that count as 2 views? Yes, it should. Yeah. Cause you're on 2 different devices. So like typically it registers, separate like IP addresses is kind of how that works. Yeah. Nothing new or revolutionary. Exactly. But yeah, does that mean the content was watched or just clicked? Yeah. So an impression so like I said, reach is the amount of
Impression
people.
is just
Impressions, how many views?
seeing it. No.
Exactly. Doesn't mean they've done. Yes. Yeah. You're totally right. It doesn't mean they've clicked yet.
Okay. Because
Yes,
I'm
reach is
looking.
just, yeah.
I'm looking in our back office thing.
Mhm.
And yeah, like my understanding, impression just means it might come across your YouTube feed. And then
Yeah.
the click-through rate is the percentage of the number of times it came across your feed, and then you click on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Neil, I'm giving Heather some money from this stream. Isn't everyone? That's an excellent point.
I'm just kidding.
An excellent point. We should all be supporting. And those of you who are on my channel, please go
Oh.
subscribe to Heather's channel.
Thank you.
Heather
I did
C.
not do that for you.
No, it's fine. You can also subscribe to my channel if you're not.
Okay,
here.
there you go.
You're fine. We're connected. It's fine.
But
if you support Heather, you're supporting me, in my opinion. So,
yes,
but yeah,
we're very similar with our commentary styles.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah. So if other people want to consensually give money, that's fine. I'm saying that we're not quote unquote expecting it, but also, like these people like say that. To me, when I post a piece of content, it could be to like inform or educate. Maybe I will get a customer. Maybe someone will just learn something and pass it on to somebody else, but I'm not necessarily being like, oh, this is a deposit, I will withdraw it at some point. But with everything with these people is transactional.
And it's not a condition of being in this live stream to give us money as well. Right. You don't have to make a donation in order to chat, in order to stay in this group. In MLMs, you need to pay to stay in the groups, and like the Facebook groups or whatever. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it is different. So reach is like I see a Burger King ad on a bus, and an impression is me going to the shop both before order. So reach is that you are a singular person. An impression is that bus drives by you twice. So you are one person reached, but you've seen it twice. And the click-through would be that you walked into Burger King, whether you ended up buying a burger or just using their bathroom. To continue the Burger King analogy. I like the Burger King analogy. I might maybe I'll make a video. That's interesting. I really like that, actually. Yeah. All right,
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. And if Bob bangs the stupid table one more time, this man records a podcast I don't understand.
Right.
Meaning if you let's say you got 100, you had 100 views, that there's usually the reach and the impressions are usually much greater than that. And so why this is important is because what it's an indication of is this, that the impact that you make through your content transcends so much larger than just the interaction on the post. And so I first discovered this when I first started going live. I would remember that I would go out, and I'd be in a social situation, and I would see people that I hadn't seen in a while. And I remember the first time it happened to me, I had a guy that I knew, and he said, hey man, I just wanted to tell you, your videos have been so helpful. And so this came as a surprise to me because I'm like, I had no idea he was watching my videos.
Yeah, never comment, never like.
Never comment, never like. And I'm like, oh, and then it would happen again and again. And then one time I had somebody tell me, he said, I know I'm not in MLM, I'm not in network marketing, but I've taken some of the stuff that I've learned from you and I've implemented it in my job, and I've actually become a better manager in my job. And like this started happening over and over again. And so what it started making me realize is I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm missing the boat here. Like I remember I would judge the success of a post by if it just got likes or comments. And what I wasn't taking into consideration was the bigger picture of the value that I was putting into the marketplace and into my community.
Sure, but you don't get paid. You don't feed your children from value being provided to other people. If you're doing an MLM because it's supposed to be your job and you were told that you're going to provide for your family, value and impact doesn't matter. Likes matter to a certain extent, but you need those likes to turn into a purchase or someone joining you.
Also, please appreciate that not even 5 minutes ago, he was like, listen, you can post content all you want, but you're wasting your time if you're not in the DMs. And now he's saying, oh, my content has so much more impact than just the people who are leaving comments and sending me messages. So what is it, Bob? Is it worth making or is it not worth making? Yeah, sir, I do not believe anything you say. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Is like they keep like I don't know if like I wish there was a flag color for like contradiction. Like I wish I could like throw up a flag for like that's a contradiction. Oh, which one do you think is problem? Oh, wait, like which one of these people? I mean, I think they're both problematic, obviously. But I mean, I think post content, sure. Like, but he just like I said, just 5 minutes ago, he was like, don't waste all your time posting content. And now he's like, oh the content I made is so important. So I was like,
and that's fine to just have an impact.
Yeah.
Teach if it's not your main source of income. If you were not lied to and told that you could make a full-time income.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think for me, I'm fine if a few people watch my videos, like 5, but those 5 people thought it was amazing and they learned so much. That's great. But I'm not trying to do this as a job. It's a hobby, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it's my job, it does matter.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And like neither of us are making videos about making money on YouTube because we're not doing this full time in any way.
Right.
And like I would be starving on the street if I tried to live off of money from content creation. Like really.
Yeah. So it's okay if we're only just teaching a few people something valuable.
Yeah.
We're not making
exactly.
Money. Yeah.
And like we're having fun, so like that's fine. But like it's how you're right. It's how these men are acting like them producing the content is what's paying them when it's the people underneath them. That's the problem.
I didn't even say that. That was a great point.
No, I saw where you were going. I followed. Okay. I followed the Heather train. All right, just 2 minutes left, guys. We can do it.
In my network. And so what we do is we urge our clients, start conversations. You will be amazed at when you start doing this, not just people that have interacted, but just starting conversations with people every day, right? And so we teach this to our clients and they are absolutely amazed at when they start doing that. Like I had 2 clients of ours in one day completely separately share this experience with me. They sent a message just to open a conversation up. And the response back, unprompted, was basically, I need you to help me. Tell me about what you do.
Okay, but I need you to help me. Tell me what you do. They haven't bought anything yet, Bob. They just asked for some information. If I made money anytime someone asked me for information, I'd be a freaking gajillionaire. But people will ask me, hey, what was that link that you did on this other thing? Hey, like you were mentioning at that workshop you taught last week that this person was a good resource. Like, I don't get paid every time I do that. I'm just like sharing information to share information. I just have to share some comments. Even the desk sounds cheap. Yeah. Okay. So Julie meant who's more problematic. I mean, Bob's talking more, so I'm more annoyed. I mean, John is just agreeing with everything he says and doesn't apparently know what impressions and reach are. But he starts telling people. Yeah.
Sorry. I think John might be a little bit more just because he's still in an MLM currently. And I wonder how much crossover there is between this coaching company and his MLM downline. And if he's double scamming people, double victimizing people.
Oh, that's a good point. Downline. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I'm more annoyed with Bob because he's presenting more of the information. Is kind of like where I'm at, but I see income, like money wise, though, I agree that John is probably more problematic in this case.
For sure.
Yeah. And William brings up a great point, which is that thing is full-time content creators are not just making their own content, right? They're probably doing sponsorships with companies. Maybe they're doing some affiliate marketing. Yeah. Maybe they're doing, I mean, most content creators have various ways that they're making money. Maybe they're doing paid speaking gigs or appearances. Maybe they're selling merch or their own products. Like, so yeah, like typically somebody who's creating content even if they are making money off their content, it's most of the time, even people with millions of followers on TikTok or something are not necessarily making enough money to like live day to day. And they do have to like kind of work it, you know? So they're amazed at this very basic idea of starting a conversation.
Wow. Who would have thought sales involves talking?
Yeah.
Right.
Things that didn't happen. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is like, yeah, because he's telling the story about, you know, but the other thing too is he's saying you should be in the DMs. Like for a lot of people, if you have like a small following, you're not getting a lot of, you're not like in direct message conversation with a lot of people. So you're going to be the one starting these. And remember last time we talked about like starting conversations and how like, so you're going to be like looking at someone like, I think Heather, you use the example of like, oh, they're looking at your Instagram feed and they see that you have a dog. And then like, you're going to message them and be like, oh, you have a really cute dog. Like, and you're going to nurture this fake friendship before you present them the business opportunity.
I hate it.
I know. My God, these people, they are insufferable.
I agree.
Oh my God.
We're almost done.
We are. I just had to say something.
Like unprompted. And they were both like, I didn't even know they were watching my videos. And so like, to me, that's it. Most people are not going to reach out to you. Yeah. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that if we're leaning into content, you got to lean into selling. I say it's a 50-50 split at worst. And so that might mean post less and actually start more conversations. And so I'm going to literally in this workshop, I'm going to teach you this entire framework for a conversation, actual things you can do and say.
Actual things you can say. So wow. I just told you he was teeing up that he's going to sell you exactly what you can say.
To get the attention of higher quality prospects. And I'm going to tell you right now, most of you, when I teach it to you, you're going to start feeling anxiety because you're going to be like, I could never imagine myself saying that because it's so far different from anything you've ever done. But what I want to point out to you is what you've done has gotten you the results that you have today. So in order for you to step your game up, in order for you to recruit better people, you need to reinvent yourself in the way that you talk to people. And so that's what we're going to do is we're going to teach you that in the workshop.
Right. And then, imagine if your whole team was on this workshop. Imagine if your whole team started.
Sorry. What we've done is why we're not finding success, right? Pretty much like, forget what you've done. Listen to me blindly. Our friends in Amway say this all the time. Like, listen to what I tell you. Follow my systems. Don't question it, and you too will find success. But then, Bob, what will happen when we do what you tell us and we're still not making money? Well, you're going to say you didn't have the right mindset, or you have a lack of abundance in your life. You have money blocks from your childhood. And that's why you're not making any money. Anything that's not connected to the actual pyramid-like structure. So we could do exactly what you say, and we're not going to get anywhere near the results that you promise.
Yeah, and also too, he was. God, I forgot where I was going with this, but no, he. So he said, I'm going to tell you to say some things and it's going to make you uncomfortable. So rather than you listening to your gut, like, of this doesn't feel like the right way to talk to another person, or this makes me feel gross, or this makes the conversation feel transactional when I don't want it to be. You're going to have these feelings probably with the scripts he's going to give you, but he's preparing you here. He's like, listen, you're not going to want to say the things I'm telling you, but the way you've been speaking has gotten you where you've gotten. So like, you should listen to, so basically he's trying to override any like ickiness that you're going to feel from his suggested scripts, which are probably gross and probably really aggressive. And there's a reason that if you look at something and you're like, oh, I don't want to say that. Like, there's a reason you feel that way, and you should listen to that.
And isn't it funny how they always assume that everyone is just so bad in their business and isn't making any money? One, it's because, we don't have Bob's support. We don't have John's support. So of course we're not going to make any money, but it's probably a safe bet that the majority of people in Bob's company are broke because of Bob, because of their MLM. So it's a safe bet too.
Yeah.
It's kind of both. Like, you need our support. And also, I'm just guessing because most of the people who I work with are in debt because of me.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
gross.
Okay,
Started
let's
recruiting up. Like if I look at my business today, it's not that many people that are like, you know, leaders, right? There's just a handful. Like you can literally build a multi-million-dollar business by identifying those types of people. You don't need thousands of A players. You don't even need hundreds of A players. If you get some quality people in your business, I am telling you, everything can change. So I'm excited about this workshop. It's mylifestyleacademy.com/lead. So get registered.
Everything can change with just that one or two people.
Yeah.
But it's all in our control. It's all based on our own efforts and our own diligence or whatever the fuck they say. But you just need a few people. Well, what happens when those few people leave? And they bring their downlines with them to go to some other sketchy ass MLM. Mm-hmm. What happens to your income? It gets cut in half. And how would you feel if your success as a business owner was predicated off of your success as a business owner is kind of predicated on your employees, because you need your employees to do a good job.
Sure.
You need them to like reflect your values and what you want your business to be, but it's not dependent on your employees recruiting a certain number of people to do the same work that you do. You just need to trust them to do their job.
Right. And and part of me is like, you know, supporting them doing their job. Also, like, you know, offering them a living wage or, you know, as high a pay as I can give them. And when I can't give them high pay, maybe I give them flexibility. Maybe I give them, you know, additional benefits like health insurance. Maybe I, you know, like there's definitely like a lot of ways that I can, I guess, support that person. But I don't see like these people supporting their downline. You know, I don't see them, you know, making those kind of whatever sacrifices and stuff. But yeah, I do pay. Yes, I do pay my employees. I actually make the same amount of money as my employees. Hourly. That's how we do it. And
I'm assuming this because you seem like a very nice person. I feel like you probably care about your employees.
Absolutely.
About their health and their happiness.
Oh yeah, sure. And like I tell them, like what we do is in brain surgery. Okay. So like if you have to be gone for a bit, or like, you know, like one of my staff members, she loves hiking. And so when it's a nice day and she's like, do you mind if I go? I'm like, go. And she's like, I'll work later. That's totally fine. You know, like I said, like I'm not perfect at all. And I'm not even trying to imply that I'm like the best person ever, but like, I think I can retain people because of these things. And I don't see MLM people making those kind of efforts for their downline or even trying. To me, the buck stops with me. Yeah. Like if something's not going well, it's my fault. Like it is my fault for setting the tone. It is my fault for not, if the work isn't good, I didn't give them good feedback. I didn't train them so they could do the job. Like I didn't set the client expectation correctly. Like there's a lot of things I'm in control of over, but yeah.
And think about what you just said in comparison to MLM, right? You said the buck stops with you. If something isn't working in your company, it's on you.
Yep, it is.
For MLM uplines, if their downlines are not doing what they want, it's their fault. It's the downline's fault. It's not the upline. So it's interesting how actual real business owners take accountability if something isn't working in their business, but a fancy upline blames their downline, says they're lazy or they don't want to work.
Yeah, I guess in my experience too, and that's what always makes me mad about these people is I know some MLM people and they work very hard.
Yeah.
And they are working with very limited tools and, you know, limited support from their upline person, and they're busting and it's just not working. So I don't know. It just makes me really angry when someone says somebody isn't working hard enough. And it's like, no, they are. They're just in this system where they like can't win. And Yeah. And like I said, all this whole thing was to set up so that Bob could be like, yeah, I can help you slide into the DMs.
No,
and it's
thanks,
like, yeah, you can no thanks, Bob. We can slide into our own DMs. Thank you very much. Successful people are not watching these guys.
Right.
Exactly. And you notice that like Bob throughout too was like negging the people. He's like, well, you're posting content, you're not sliding into the DMs, or like, oh, like you're not so he like kept negging the people who were watching the video. And that's another technique I really despise when someone's doing a training, is like, we should assume if someone is taking the time, like 21 people are watching us right now. I'm not assuming any of them are stupid. I'm not assuming any of them are lazy. I'm not assuming any of them don't want to learn. I'm not assuming any of them, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're here. Thank you. And like, we're all, well, I don't know. I can't picture children watching our stream and thinking it was interesting, but we're all adults here, and like, we're all kind of doing the best we can, and we're here to, talk about these predatory practices and talk with each other. And yeah, like we're not talking to people like they're stupid. And like throughout this video, Bob was doing that, and it just really pissed me off.
Oh yeah.
And training's supposed to allow people to ask questions. Exactly. And what I said, and we got absolutely no content. All we know is that Bob's going to show us how to slide into the DMs. Will he show us one sample conversation? Absolutely not. Will we have to pay for this training to see anything? We will. We're probably going to be disappointed in the content. Because when I look at reviews for these people and the courses that they buy on, Life Coach Snark on Reddit or whatever, people are always like, oh, like I really wanted to like this person. And then I like really liked their free content. And I thought they'd go more into it when I bought the course. And then I bought the course and it was really disappointing. And I feel like it's just a theme with these people, Yeah, I believe in training. Yeah. Whereas deploying emotional manipulation. And the thing is, like I said, there's not one. If I would never do a training that was like, here is the exact way to have conversations to close 6-figure clients, because everybody's different.
Right.
It's like, here's one way that you can talk to women. And it's like, yeah, because women are a monolith, right? It's right. Like, no, we're all different. And the key is treating the other person like a person, getting to know them, and, and having like an exchange. And not a transactional way, but like a sharing, and that's where you're gonna have productive conversations. You don't need Bob's freaking script.
Great points.
Yeah, and I know I'm doing a little workshop coming up that Bree brings up, and I was like, okay, like, and the people I'm doing it with the local cooperative extension, which is like helps the farmers and stuff and food growers around here, and they're like, we need like a little video so we can promote it. So I like made this little video and I like posted it to Instagram, and they were talking about reach and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that video reached like, I got 180 views and it got like 6 likes. And so what they were trying to say is that like, 6 people liked it, and a couple of people commented on it, but like 100 other people just watched it. And those people might be, you should be sliding into their DMs and trying to sell them something. And it's like, no. Gross. Yeah. Oh, Zoe's a regular on my channel. MLM is always about volume, which is how they do business. Anyway, but yeah, oh my God. Thank you for reminding me that this Bob, what's his Heilig?
Heilig.
Thank you for reminding me that Bob Heilig existed when we were planning this stream.
Yes, you should look into him. He's an interesting one.
He seems infuriating. Like I said, the fact that he's had a podcast multiple years and keeps banging on the table. Like, I had a podcast for like a year and a half, and I just remember like we would record in this little room, and we had like we called it the blanket fort, and we had one of those like pop-up tents, and we'd throw blankets over it because we were in this cavernous room, and we put like a tablecloth on the table, and we would go over it with people because we only had one microphone, and we were like, listen, like don't touch the table. So and we put a tablecloth on it so that it would remind people not to touch it. So like when people do that in podcasts, it really bugs me. But anyway, any last thoughts, Heather, about Bob?
No, I think we're good. I think we covered literally everything.
God, we really did.
We learned a lot. Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
No, thanks for.
Thank you to all these people. We have a lot of people in chat. That's awesome.
I know.
I love it.
Yeah.
And we should do this again soon.
Yes, absolutely. Now Heather and I are gonna get on the. Now that we're like. My life has calmed down a little bit. I can kind of plan things a little more regularly. So thanks for being flexible.
Good content ideas.
Oh yeah,
one. I'll try to think of the next one, and I'll send you.
Sure,
a new
sure.
one.
Perfect. Yeah, and if any of you have any like ideas of people or even specific trainings, feel free to leave it as a comment on either of our videos, so we'll know. We're open-minded. We cover a variety of people
For sure.
across both of our channels. So
This was awesome. Thank you.
this was great. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day or evening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
All right.
Did you click end live?
I think I did. No, maybe not. My bad.